pancake, everyone. Now we will tell you about North Korea, the most unusual state on the planet in terms of safeguarding its values. It is strictly closed, there is little information about it, and what does come in is heavily redacted by the authorities in charge. To understand why the northern part of the country has such a regime, one must turn to its history. Well, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like and comment, and click on the bell so you don't miss our new videos. Now make some tea, get some pancakes, and let's go. Where do you think isolationism came from in the DPRK? Before 1945, North and South Korea were colonies of Japan. After World War II, the northern part of the peninsula came under Soviet control, while the southern part came under US influence. The states could not come to an agreement, and as a result, two authorities and then two countries were formed on the territory of the Korean peninsula. They initially had different ideological foundations. In North Korea, the rule of the Labor Party was established. From the earliest days of the country's life, it knew no other government and no other way than socialism. In addition to the USSR, the country was also supported by China, itself a communist nation. State structure of the DPRK. From the very beginning of their existence, communist and socialist countries met with resistance from other systems of state structure. For example, there was an Iron Curtain over the USSR. Such different ideological systems, socialism and capitalism, were bound to clash with each other. Open borders would have meant their interpenetration, mutual influence, and the gradual establishment of the same order in all open territories. This is why all socialist countries guarded their lines to some extent, preventing the penetration of Western values. Even today, North Korea does not wear excessive open clothing, and creative work is considered the main value. Thanks to the wife of the current leader, Kim Jong-un, the requirements for women's attire have been relaxed. Women were given permission to wear jeans, suits, heeled shoes, earrings, and to ride a bicycle. Before that, a woman in jeans could be fined for looking inappropriate. Opinions about the modern ideology of the DPRK are controversial. The country's constitution states that it is a socialist state in which power belongs to the working people, peasants, workers, and labor intellectuals. According to Russian-Korean historian Andrei Lankov, power today belongs to a stratum of top party officials, and the modern order is in fact a quasi-Kazakh monarchy, a system in which the form of government is republican in name only, but in fact power belongs to one person who transmits his powers by inheritance. Since the country's beginnings, it has been ruled by one dynasty, Kim Il-sung, then his son Kim Jong-il, then grandson Kim Jong-un. Neither of them held the office of their predecessor, but they held positions of extensive authority and were wrapped up in a cult of personality. The strict isolation can be explained by the desire of the first persons to keep power in their hands. Everyone is probably well aware that the DPRK is the most isolated country. One reason for this is Juche, the North Korean communist state ideology. So another reason for self-isolation is the country's state ideology, which is a unique fusion of Marxism and Confucianism. Juche was developed by Kim Il-sung after World War II and enshrined constitutionally. It is a rather complicated synthetic system of views for Western thinking. Its basic points are 1. The driving force for the development of society is the people, but this does not mean literal equality. On the contrary, there is a hierarchy in which leadership is the norm. 2. The main goal of the economy is not personal gain, but the satisfaction of the population and the country as a whole. 3. Great emphasis is placed on the development of national pride and dignity, a country in which every member of society respects himself and feels respected. 4. Strong loyalty to the leader is a major strength of society. 5. Revolution is a very broad concept and even concerns labor. 6. One of the most important values is defending one's autonomy. 7. The army is not against the people are the army. From the Juche viewpoint, the closedness of a country is not fear but self-sufficiency, and the desire to preserve one's identity. Now we will tell you the most horrifying facts of the DPRK. Number 1. What will happen to your family if you commit a crime in North Korea? There is a 3-generation punishment. This means that when a person is sent to prison, his whole family goes with him, and the next 2 generations of the family are born in prison and live out their lives there. This fact is absolutely horrifyingly true, and you can read about what it means to be second generation in the book Escape from Camp 14. If you wonder what a North Korean has to do to get into one of these prison labor camps? The answer is simple: commit a political crime. And a political crime is defined as criticizing the government or trying to flee the country. Number 2, the 6-day work week and another day of forced volunteer work ensure that the average citizen has virtually no free time. This fact periodically appears on the internet, but its source is unknown. However, one can easily learn a little bit about how jobs are organized in North Korea. It seems that everyone after high school is automatically given a job by the government and attached to that job for life. There are other jobs in government-run companies where you can even earn foreign currency, but it is impossible to get in without a bribe. Number 3, did you know before that in North Korea the production, possession, and use of marijuana is legal and recommended by the Ministry of Health as a healthier alternative to tobacco? Surprisingly, this is 100% true, and in fact even more so. Marijuana is not the only drug that is legal in North Korea. The government encourages people to grow opium on land they are not using. As for marijuana bushes growing freely on the side of the road, it turns out that marijuana is often planted along railroad tracks to support the rails with its deep roots. Number 4, according to official documents, Kim Jong-il learned to walk at the age of 3 weeks. During his university studies, Kim, also according to official documents, wrote 1,500 books, including 6 major operas. According to his official biography, all of his operas are the best in the history of music. Then there are his athletic accomplishments. In 1994, the Pyongyang media reported that when Kim visited the golf club for the first time, he had brilliantly completed 38 holes, 11 of them in one stroke. All this in front of 17 personal bodyguards. After that, he decided to retire from the sport for good. Kim wasn't just serious about sports. Supposedly, the North Korean soccer team was publicly mocked for losing the 2010 World Cup for 6 hours. Better not to play soccer in this country. Number 5, the success rate of this country's space company is 20%. This is a very strange statistical figure, because it is not clear what kind of success is being referred to. We think it refers to satellite launches, because of the 5 launches made by North Korea, only 1 successfully reached orbit. However, the North Korean government claims that there is another satellite that went into orbit in 1998, and is now sending patriotic songs into space. For science, I guess. You probably think that after the end of World War II, concentration camps no longer exist? If so, you are sadly mistaken. Number 6, there are 50,000 men, women, and children being held in a concentration camp in North Korea, being used as slaves, tortured, and experimented on, just like during the Holocaust. The number quoted here is from an Amnesty International report in the 1990s. An ex-guardsman who defected from North Korea estimated that approximately 2,000 people die each year in the Hworyong concentration camp from malnutrition, but that the number of residents remains constant at 50,000. Thanks to a stable number of newly elected prisoners. The same guard estimated that 30% of the inmates have physical deformities, such as missing limbs. Number 7, all teachers in the 1990s were required to know how to play the accordion, and they had to pass an accordion exam before they could get a teaching certificate. This fact is taken from a 2009 book called Nothing to Envy, which described the lives of 6 North Koreans for more than 15 years. Among them was one school teacher. Apparently, her accordion exam was postponed because of Kim Jong-il's death, although she was able to get a job as a kindergarten teacher until she could take the exam. A city designed to attract people is actually a box with no windows or interior? Number 8, Kijong-dong, propaganda town that was built by Kim Jong-il's father in the 1950s on the border of the country. It was supposed to show the superiority of the North over the South and inspire people to defect from the South to the North. But in fact, it had no residents. The government had spent heavily, and every effort had been made to create the appearance of a functioning city, including lights in the streets. But it was enough to look through good optics to expose a city whose glass buildings were essentially just boxes, with a complete absence of any interior. The city also housed the world's largest flagpole. In addition to the empty buildings, North Korea also had loudspeakers that trumpeted propaganda to its southern neighbors. The latter in turn returned the favor. Fortunately for everyone, everyone, both countries agreed to end this in 2004. What do you think is the first thing to save besides yourself in the event of a fire or other emergency in North Korea? Number 9. Idolatry in North Korea is such that a portrait of Kim Jong-il is the second thing ordinary citizens should save in case of fire after themselves. There are even special bunkers for statues in case of war. You can't say for sure about the paintings, but the 100% truth is that all of the statues of the leaders are guarded by the armed forces, just like the real leaders of the country. Even we with our cat worship haven't gone that far. Number 10. The year in North Korea is not 2023, but rather 111, because Korea calculates the years from the birth of Kim Jong-il, not Jesus. What about those things that happened before Kim Jong-il was born? Number 11. Literacy in North Korea is defined by the ability to write Kim Jong-il. Now this may even be true, and is explained by the fact that in North Korea, according to their data, 99% of the population is literate. Obviously, almost no one believes this statistical figure, but on the other hand, the North Korean education system does include 11 years of compulsory education, so it is very much possible that the average North Korean can actually read and write. Execution by mortar? Why not? Number 12. That's just awful, isn't it? Yes, execution by mortar shell is used in North Korea, and that's a fact, though it's not particularly common. It was used on a top government official who didn't wait long enough to have a party after Kim Jong-il died. He was executed for a lack of proper mourning. Number 13. The North Korean Constitution states, citizens are guaranteed freedom of speech, press, voice, demonstration, and union. This is certainly true, and you can even read the North Korean Constitution if you like. If you think this defies reality, you are completely wrong, but the document also contains some buts that will not seem very democratic to foreigners. For example, quote, citizens should firmly guard the political and ideological unity and solidarity of the people, or work is a noble duty and honor for a citizen. Number 14. North Korea's economy was larger than South Korea's before the 1970s. Now the GDP is only 2.5% of South Korea's. North Korea's economy is even smaller than its own shadow. In 2011, the estimated GDP per person was about $1,800 per year, slightly less than, say, South Korea's per capita GDP of about $30,800. On the other hand, we assume that there is not much to buy in North Korea. Number 15. North Korea holds elections every 5 years, with only one candidate listed on the ballot. This fact hardly seems surprising, although we should note that while there's actually only one candidate for any government seat, voters can technically veto a candidate. That means they can vote against someone by crossing their name off, though to do so the voter has to go into a special box, where everyone can see that they are making a choice, and no doubt their name is already on the blacklist. Number 16. In North Korea, the number of internet users is only 605. Computer and internet use seems to be growing every day, though mostly limited to upper-class officials and students. For example, North Korea recently debuted its own Linux-based operating system called Red Star. Moreover, some even say that North Korea is undergoing a digital revolution, though on such a small scale that we think the word deviation would fit better than revolution. However, it has been claimed that the North Koreans have a hand in the evolving software for everything from Middle Eastern banks to Nintendo and Sony? Let me just say that we don't believe that a bit. The closed nature of modern North Korea can hardly be explained by a list of simple reasons. Partly it is the legacy of the past that is still in the process of being rethought, and partly it is ideology. In recent years, there have been trends toward a loosening of the strict regime. Kim Jong-un, who became head of the country in 2012, immediately launched a series of economic reforms aimed at attracting foreign investment and encouraging the role of private business. But for all that, the standard of living in Korea leaves much to be desired. Let us know in the comments what you would like to change in the structure of North Korea. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like it. Thank you all for watching. We wish you a pancake mood and see you all again. Pancake, everyone.